take advantage of every opportunity. If you need to reevaluate yourself, reevaluate, because that's what I wish I would have done. And I wish more than anything that I would have listened to the people around me who were telling me, hey, you might need to check yourself a little bit.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
All right, brother, that was a long night, so I'm going to give you 3 solid minutes.
All right, let's
have
do
faith
it.
in me.
Let's do it. No, we're good. We're going to have fun.
Yeah, so everyone, welcome back to the Relentless Project. I'm Ish, your host, and I'm here with Griff.
What's going on?
We've been talking about doing this thing for a while now, and you kind of brought a different perspective to the podcast, which I think is very interesting. We get a lot of MMA people, we get a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, we're going to dabble into what you do for, because that's pretty interesting too. I could have used your expertise a little bit, but
yeah. Oh, I was texting you, checking up on you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So before we get into everything, give us a brief background about you. Like what, like your upbringing. Where do you come from? Are you from Pittsburgh or?
So originally, I was actually born in Raleigh, North Carolina, in a little town called Garner. So my dad was a football player. He played football at Pitt. Got into he was with the Patriots for about a couple months or so. Made it into camp, and then ended up jacking his back up, having back surgery, and that was kind of the end of that. So fast forward a little bit, he got into coaching, was coaching at NC State at the time, and him and my mom had gotten a job down there, so she was working, he was coaching at NC State, finishing up his master's, and then a couple months later, Griff came around.
Baby
Griff.
Bear Griff.
But yeah, so as much as I'd like to say that I'm a North Carolina boy, I'm born there, but brought up my entire life here. I think we moved back here when I was probably 2 or 3, so I don't even remember being down there much, but grew up right out here in Wexford, went through North Allegheny School District.
You're a Wexford
boy. Absolutely, Wild Wex, yep.
It's like so crazy, because before I came down to Pittsburgh, I never heard about Wexford or anything like that. Like, Pittsburgh was Pittsburgh. You know? Everything around it was Pittsburgh.
Well, when you get, like, and this is one of the things that I love about Pittsburgh and I hate about Pittsburgh, is that it's such a small town that somewhere you're going to run into someone you know. It's going to be a small world atmosphere, but at the same time, it's a small world atmosphere. You know, once you've done everything here, it's kind of like, all right, well, what else is there to do? You know, in the winter months, it gets kind of boring around here, just so dang cold, all the snow, ice, everything like that. So I know at some point I would definitely like to get back down south. That's kind of my goal within like the next 10 years or so. Hopefully get down there and, you know, kind of set up shop and figure out, you know, what's coming next.
I think Pittsburgh's a cool city because you have the big city vibe.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's also like hometown, community.
Right.
And what I found interesting is where people, depending on what neighborhood or whatever people grew up in, it's kind of like where they stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is crazy. I mean, like, if you grew up in Lawrenceville, you're Lawrenceville, North Side, Shady Side.
Right.
And like, there's this crazy line between the South Hills and the North Hills. Like, if you're from the South Hills, you don't want nothing to do with the North Hills. If you're in the North Hills, you're like, wow, South Hills. It's like, it's crazy to me because it's so big, but it's so small at the same time.
Well, it's all the rumors you get about the North Hills versus the South Hills, all that stuff.
Like gang wars.
Exactly.
I'm from the North, bro. It's like, yeah, you're from Wexford. Relax.
Exactly, the Wild Wex. If you don't know about it, you can't handle it.
Yeah, the Wild Wex. I'm gonna start using that.
It was hard standing in line at Rita's, I tell you.
Now there's one on every block.
Everywhere.
Dude, everywhere. But like at the end of the day, Pages is. I'm sorry, Rita's, but Pages is the. You ever been to Pages?
I don't think so. No.
Bro, it's on. It's in South Side.
Okay.
But like all the way.
Okay.
On Carson, like under a bridge on a tone. Bro, the best cheeseburgers you'll ever have in your life, hands down. I promise you.
I'm gonna have to put that on my list then.
Dude, and their ice cream is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but like their cheeseburgers, bro,
top 5.
Yeah, like comparing with In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Oh yeah,
I would even put it above In-N-Out.
See, I can't speak on that. I never had In-N-Out. I've had Whataburger. We were at a bowl game in Louisiana, and they had Whataburger down there.
How was that? I've never had Whataburger.
I mean, cheeseburger's a cheeseburger.
No, see, it's not though. Like you can mess it up, bro. It's like pizza.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
it's like pizza's pizza, right? The same ingredient. No, like you can one bite. Everyone knows the rules.
Yep.
Where'd you go to high school?
So I was in North Allegheny out
NA.
here. Yeah,
big. You did mention that. Big football school.
Yeah, I mean, big athletic school all around. I mean, I think my graduating class with students alone was 850, 860. I mean, it's a big class, so it makes the athletics out there very competitive. I think it's a blessing and a curse because if you excel out there, you're going to get the exposure that you need to move to that higher level if that's what you want. But it's also very easy to fall through the weeds over there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So, like I said, for me, it was very fortunate. It put me on a bigger stage to kind of showcase my abilities and show what I can do, which I think was a big reason that, you know, coming out of high school, I had some of the opportunities that I did.
So, you speak opportunities. What position did you play in high school?
So, high school, I was a tight end and a middle linebacker. I mean, more so a tight end. The middle linebacker was just, it was, you know, to keep me busy on.
Did you guys play both sides of the ball? You were so big.
We did. Yeah.
I had an opportunity to play linebacker a couple of games just because, like, our linebacker was hurt.
Yeah.
And, like, I was just a dog. I was small as hell in high school. I was, like, 140, 145. But they were like, hey, like, plug the hole. Like, easy.
That's all you got to do. Throw your head.
I had so much fun. No responsibilities. Just go for the ball. Like, that was my only responsibility.
Yep.
Find the ball and hit them.
Yep.
Like that. And I also got to play end, which, dude, if they would have kept me in there, I feel like I don't got to college for football.
Yeah.
But until I meet the 200-pound kickers and shit. But because I was just getting by the line. I was so fast. I was so quick because I was small. You know? I mean, obviously that it's not very sustainable. Yeah. Once you start meeting bigger dudes who are fast. You know, and I'm just like, they're just like, bro, chill. Like, you're not getting my quarterback. But what opportunity? So you excelled in high school in football.
Yeah.
You said we were talking before. You got like big scholarships to go to college.
I kind of had my pick of the bunch. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I was one of those Under Armour All-Americans, anything like that. But you know, coming out of high school, I did have, you know, my choice of schools. You know, through my senior year, I think it was my senior year, I ended up becoming the #1 ranked tight end in PA. And it's funny because I became that in my senior year. I think I caught six balls maybe. I was definitely a blocking tight end, but I loved it. I loved putting my face in there. I loved taking someone against my offensive line coach had the best saying ever. And the offensive line coach and the tight ends, like, we all just intermixed. But the best feeling on the field was taking a grown man against his will and moving him from point A to point B. And I kind of engraved that into my brain is that's what I was going to do to every person that walked in front of me. So with that mindset, I think it helped me not only, like I said, excel at NA, but it prepared me for the next level because I definitely had some wake-up calls at the next level. But I think coming through high school and stuff like that, you know, looking back at it, I was very fortunate. I started getting recruited. I think I got my first offer midway through my sophomore season from Virginia. And then it kind of was a snowball effect, starting to get little ones here and there. I'd pick up, you know, a bigger one here and there. You know, summer going into junior year, my dad and I are going down to Duke, NC State, Virginia Tech, checking out all these schools. And, you know, I was like a kid in a candy shop. I'm like, this is awesome.
You're elated. I can only imagine.
I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. And, you know, it opened my eyes to, like, you know, holy crap, maybe I can do something with this. You know, I was never a guy who, of course, you know, if the NFL came around, absolutely I'd go for it, but that wasn't my main goal. My main goal since I was a little kid was to get the opportunity to play college football because that's what I loved. You know, I still remember when I was younger, I'd come home from school, my dad and I would sit in the basement for hours playing that NCAA football game. Like the new one just came out, and
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've dabbled.
Yeah, but the new one just came out. I'm getting crap from my girl all the time. Like, I'm on it playing. I'm like, look, you don't understand. This is my childhood here.
Well, like, I feel like video games is like nostalgia, like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
When that comes out, I would highly consider buying a game system just to play that game.
Yeah.
Just because, like, it just reminds me of me when I
Right.
used to play Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
You know, like, I loved that game.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like, I'm not a video game dude, but I would consider buying a video game console for that game because
Yeah.
it's been, how long since the release?
I can't.
They keep pushing
I
it.
think GTA 5, the last one came out when I was junior in high school, maybe senior
It's
in high
been
school.
years.
It's been quite some time.
You mentioned that quote from your offensive lineman coach. Bro, that is why I love jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because you get, like, you're going into a match where you're going to compete and make or try to make someone do something
Right.
that they don't want to do.
Right.
But then they're also doing that to you. So there's
Yeah.
this, like, I love this competitive, like, this is the thing about my knee, bro. Like, I haven't had that. And I feel like my stress level has been up. You know, my anxiety level has been up, which when people talk about anxiety, I'm like, oh, man, like, what is anxiety? I
Right.
get it's a thing, but, like, to me, I'm like, find something to release that.
Right.
Bro, I get it now. I'm like, I have all this pent up aggression and I can't,
Yeah.
like, I can hit a bag, but it's not the same. The bag is fixed.
Right.
It's staying there. I go to the gym, can't work out legs. Yeah, that's my only excuse because I had knee surgery. Haven't worked out legs in months, bro. And I'm like, it's not the same. You know, it's not the same as, like, rolling
Right.
with someone, getting tired, feeling that blood taste in your mouth, in your throat, in your chest. I love that shit.
Well, I think even going off of that, I love the feeling of testing yourself, like putting yourself to that limit where it's like, I want to give up, but I can't give up. And I can't speak from a jiu-jitsu standpoint. You know, I haven't gotten into any of that. I've gotten into boxing within the past 6 months, and I boxed in high school and stuff, but kind of gotten back into that for the same exact reason. You know, now that football is done, I'm 2 years removed from football. I don't have anything to release that aggression, and that really don't have anything to compete. And that's still, I think, one of my biggest things is I'm overly competitive. I mean,
I think most men are.
yeah,
Because by nature, like, I think it's ingrained in us. We're always trying to improve and push the needle, and there's not many facets of life you get to do that with.
Right.
Organized sports,
Yep.
you know, military, stuff like that, MMA,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, boxing, any martial art. Like, you get to, there's a reference point, and then you get to push yourself in that. And there's not many things that allow you to do that in life. Like,
Right.
if you're not doing any of these things, like, that's why in my opinion, that's why, like, violence is at an all-time high. Like, people aren't healthy. They aren't eating right. They aren't exercising, which leads to mental health stuff. You know, we have this pent-up aggression, this innate nature in us, and there's nowhere to release that in a controlled environment.
right.
Like, you notice people who play sports, like, seriously, not someone just jumps on a team, but, like, you know, people who dedicate their lives at that point to a sport, to a practice, to a trade, to something. They're focused. They're pushing themselves. Those tend to be the most chill, laid back dudes,
Right.
and chicks. Like, you're just, because you have a purpose. You found a purpose. You're aligning with it. But when you don't have that and you're just out here in the world willy nilly, that's where shit gets crazy.
Right. Absolutely.
So there's my rant for the day. Where'd you end up? You said you had these offers. Where'd you end up committing to?
So I ended up going to Temple. So, and I committed to Temple early. So I committed, it was midway through my junior year that I had committed. Right after basketball season was done, I sat down with my mom and dad and said, look, I love this place. I think part of it had to do with the staff at the time. I was, recruited with Matt Rule and his entire staff. Loved them. I loved the culture. There was a saying, and still rings true today, but Temple tough. And to people who haven't been around Temple or never experienced it or never even, heard of Temple, it might just sound like, some corny saying, but Temple tough was a whole mindset. It was, you're in North Philadelphia. It's a rough...
Born and raised on a playground. I got a funny story about Temple, not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
So I went to the Penn State. Mm-hmm. Not bragging, but we are.
It's all right.
And I hope at home you said Penn State. But Me and my boy Nico, love that dude, Nico Carbo. He actually just sponsored the podcast. He's one of our first sponsors.
Oh, nice. Congrats. Dude.
Yeah, Carbo Jewelers, Carbo Trading, Continental Jewelry, like 2 jewelry stores in the New Jersey area. All the gold, silver you want.
I need a Cuban link.
Bro,
I've been looking for a Cuban link.
That's his specialty.
Oh, yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, I need one.
This is him.
I need one bad.
Dude, any jewelry I have is from him. But got to give him the quick plug. He also does he sells like bullions and anything you can trade and make money. Like, dude's a part of that. So check out his website, Carbo Jewelers. If you guys looking for something for your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, something to rock down in the city, bro's got it all. But we're in Penn State, and Penn State's playing Temple. And Temple travels deep. It's known that Temple travels with their team, and we're out and about in the tan, and I'm with someone and they have a drink.
Let me follow correctly. This is at Temple, or
this is at Penn State?
Okay.
So it's night before the game, and Penn State gets wild. So we're all out partying and enjoying ourselves, getting ready for the game the next day, and I'm with someone who has a drink, and we're walking. I'm like, yo, you better throw that away. Like they're kind of strict with drinking out in public and stuff. Like you got to be in the establishments or something. And Penn State had just gone dry, and dude, a fucking cop stops us. What's that? Takes the cup. Boom. They're like, oh man, I don't know. I just found it. So this cop's on our ass. Some dude runs over, just beat the bricks. Some Temple kids just jumped me. They have my wallet. He's like, hold on. And he's like, can I get your ID to the person I'm with? I'm like, oh, dude, homie just got jumped, bro. You about to So it was from that day on, we're like, yo, Temple fucking traveled. The dude said some shit about Penn State to Temple, and they beat the bricks off this kid. And the cop was giving us shit because this dude hadn't opened drink.
Yeah.
But luckily, the cop was threw it away. He's like, get out of here, and started talking to this kid.
Yeah.
So every time I hear Temple, I think of that story. It's these Temple dudes beat the fuck out of this dude.
It's definitely a rough area. I mean, there were some experiences there that at the time they were scary, but looking back at them, they definitely forced me to mature very quickly. But going back to that Temple tough,
Matt Rule, you're there.
Matt Rule, absolutely. The program at this time was really coming up. I think the year before I got there, they had just won the American. They had won the Military Bowl. They were off, I think, back-to-back 9 or 10 win seasons. I mean, Temple was starting niner. But was starting to, really turn their corner because there was a little bit of time there. I mean, Temple's always been up and down, kind of like a roller coaster. But the Temple tough kind of saying was, you got to be tough on the field, tough academically, and tough mentally. Because when you're in that environment where you're in a not great area of the city, and we think Pittsburgh's a big city. I mean, Philly opened my eyes to a
Philly's
true big city. It is humongous.
They have their own rules and laws. They're so big.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because we all say we're from Pittsburgh, but anyone around here, you're 15, 20 minutes in the city. There's people claiming Philly and they're 45 minutes an hour outside the city, but it really is, that it's that big. But yeah, it's a different atmosphere down there. It was a different college experience, unlike anything I ever could imagine myself going through.
Another story about Philly, particularly. My last apartment, we had to go pick up a prisoner from Philly. So we were in communication with some Philly cops, and they're like, hey, come in plain clothes, come in a plain car. I'm like, damn, all right. I'm like, if we come in a plain car, we don't have a cage. Someone's gonna have to sit with this dude for 6-7 hours. So we end up driving down there. The dude calls us before we get there. He's like, hey, I don't know if you know where the jail's located. It's in an alleyway.
Right.
And they're like, hey, don't come down the alleyway, park on the street and walk down. I'm like, all right, bet. So I'm with one of our lieutenants, and we're walking down, our guns hidden, badge hidden.
Right.
It looks like we're just fitting in. And the prisoners are in the alleyway cleaning and chilling and playing and doing whatever they do. And there's one guard on a podium just on his phone, outside.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. We go and we're like, yo, we're so and so with this police department. We're so and so with this police department. We're here for so and so. He's like, all right, calls his name. And dude comes, turns around, puts his hands behind his back. We cuff him, and walk. We get in the car. I look at him. I'm like, bro, we didn't like show our badge. They didn't ask for paperwork. They just like, oh, bet, boom, go.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, dude, it's a fucking different breed down here. Like, dude, it was like if I went like this, like, yo, I need this dude. Like, I'm like, what if it was just like one of his boys who came in? And, bro, they don't give a fuck down there. I'm like, no. So Philly, different breed. So you're in Temple. You're following this great administration.
Right.
Like you're probably having the time of your life.
Yeah. It started off like that, but very quickly, even honestly before I got there, things had started to kind of spiral different directions. So, like I said, I committed, midway through my junior year, was all excited to go play for Matt Rule and his staff. 2 months before signing day comes, I get a text message from the strength coach and the offensive coordinator who were at the time on their way to my house to do the in-home visit. My mom's at home making a traditional Italian feast. I mean, we got everything you can think of. We got cutlets, meatballs, hot sausage, everything. It's a spread.
Yeah, you got to swoon. You got to swoon them. Like,
but I get a text from who was going to be my position coach at the time saying, "Hey, we just got called back to we just got called back to the facility. We're not sure what's going on. We'll reach out when we hear something," or so we thought it was a little bit weird. 2 hours later, my dad calls me because I was at school at the time. My dad was a teacher in North Allegheny, still is, but calls me into his office and pulls up a ESPN notification. Matt Rule accepts job at Baylor University. So at this point, my head is scrambling because this is 2 months, maybe even a month before signing day. And the coach that I fell in love with at the school I fell in love with is now no longer there. So fast forward, end up sticking to it because, like I said, as much as I loved Matt Rule, I loved the culture of Temple. I loved all the guys that I had met so far. And everything about Temple felt right to me. So I stuck with it, went to Temple. Before I got there, played in the Big 33 game, which it's not as big of a magnitude as, the Army All-American, Under Armour, anything like that. But that was something that, growing up, I had always saw guys from NA go and play, and I'm like, yeah, I'd like to play in that one day. So I got selected to play in that, played Maryland, beat the brakes off of Maryland. And then, we did.
Beat the brakes off.
I'll throw it out there. I mean, I think we put up 50 or 60 on them.
Okay,
so
yeah, you could. Okay.
We
valid,
yeah. What was funny because when we're the night before, they're doing like the introductions. Like we have a little ceremony for both teams, and Maryland's coming up, and they're like, this guy Westminster, this guy Clarion, blah blah blah. They come to Team PA. It's Penn State, Temple, Pitt, Bama. We had all these big name guys playing in it, and I don't know if majority of the big name guys from Maryland just didn't care to play in it or what the thing was, but it was definitely a little bit of an uneven.
It's like
matchup.
stacked,
yeah. But so graduated on a Friday, went and lived with a host family Sunday for the next entire week, got back to Pittsburgh the next Saturday, and then that Sunday drove to Temple and moved in. So it was like boom, 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 real quick. It was everything happened at once. Get on Temple's campus with the new coach at the time, Jeff Collins, and this was where my eyes really kind of started to open up and see college football for what it is. Because, as a young, naive kid, I'm going in there thinking, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make an impact immediately, blah, blah, blah. Whereas I get there and have a meeting with them. They go, yeah, we're going to move you from tight end to offensive line, which I had never played before in my life. And offensive line is a whole different mindset.
Oh, dude, it's a whole
different
set of responsibilities.
Absolutely.
So, couple questions off that. How important was the culture of Temple? Like, how important was the culture for you? Like, what was you get this notification? You haven't signed yet,
right?
But this is something you want to be a part of because of what this coach has built,
right?
He's now removed from the equation. Like, what made you still commit to that?
I think one of the biggest things was the people. Not if you take the coaching staff aside, because I think when Rule left, we retained maybe 4 or 5 guys that were on that staff. So we still had a good foundation that was there. We obviously had all the guys that were still there minus the guys who had moved on to the league or had graduated, whatnot. But not only that, the academic staff, all of those guys who we worked with on an everyday basis, they're the ones responsible getting us, our classes scheduled, getting us our books, getting us our tutoring set up, anything that we need from an academic standpoint, they were the go-to. So the relationship that I had started to form with them, not only that, just as hectic as Philly can be, people there genuinely seem like they're good people. And they seem like they care, especially on campus. I mean, we go to the cafeteria, the guys in the cafeteria, we're sitting there talking to for 20 minutes just about anything, how their family and kids are doing, stuff like that, talking about football, of course. But there was just a genuine vibe that I felt very comfortable, and I felt like I was taken care of there. And that's more so than anything. All I could ask for was that I was happy, I felt comfortable with the people around me, and then football was the next part of it.
Bro, culture plays a huge role in any organization, right? Like my department. Like I'm not saying this to be biased, but we have one of the best police cultures in the area. We hear from there's been multiple consulting companies that have come in. There's been other agencies, the ME's office. They're like, man, you guys are like the best people to work with. Like, you help us out. You never give us attitude. Like, if we need anything, you're quick. Like, and all of our guys and girls are so quick to, like, if I get dispatched to a call and I'm like doing something, I'm like typing a report. Like, I'm technically supposed to stop typing and go. There'll be people who'll take, hey, no, I got it, bro. Don't worry about it. Like, we have that culture of like, I got your back. I got your back. And everyone encompasses that.
Right.
And that's huge in an organization, because a lot of times we want to go to the best, right? The best. What's the best? Like, what constitutes as the best? Is it the person with the best leader? Sure. But you can have a great, like, put Matt Rule in another football organization that has a horrible culture.
Right.
It's going to take him time to develop that. Like, culture is not something that just happens. And if you go to an organization, and this is for private industry, sports, MMA gyms, like whatever you can apply this to. If you have an organization with a great culture, even if the leader's like iffy, dude, that's so important, because that culture it takes so much time to develop.
Right.
It doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? And I've worked for many industries, many leaders, air quotes, many bosses, and like, there's some places where I'm like, man, like, this is just a paycheck to me. And I hate being that guy, because I'm always trying to find ways to improve what I'm in, right? So I used to work for the Bayhawks. It was a good culture, bad pay.
Yeah.
But I was like, how can I improve this? So I was like all in, bro. I was in college working there, dude, staying overnight, early mornings there. I lived across the street from the stadium. So like I would go in the middle of the night, go into my office, like work on, like, because that is who I am.
Right.
Now, if you had, in my mind, I'm like, man, if I had like 2 or 3 people like me, dude, this place would take off.
Right.
But not everyone encompasses that. We go to a place with a bad culture, and we have the mindset of, oh, this is just a paycheck for me. Why don't you start developing the culture?
Right.
So you go to this place, the culture's there, and then you get switched. How was that for you to go in there with the mindset of, dude, I excelled at this position. This is what I want to come here and do, play tight end. And then this culture, this organization you trust that gets you there, they're like, hey, we've been watching you. We want you. We think you're going to be best here. And they move you. Right.
I think that's one of the things that, at the time I was all for it. Absolutely. I mean, obviously I didn't have a choice. I was, I was their project at that point. But when I look back at it now, there's a lot of things that I would like to have done differently. I'll be the first one to admit, I don't think I ever fully bought into that offensive lineman mentality. As much as I thought I did at the time, looking back at it now, I didn't. I wasn't doing the little things that I needed to. I wasn't studying and learning, how to read defenses, because, I had played center, I had played guard. But when I was at center, I mean, I'm the one IDing all the defenses. I'm trying to get the guys to the right and left of me on the same page. And I think that's where I lacked when I got there and made that switch, was that I didn't 100% buy into the offensive lineman mentality. I don't want to sit here and say that I ever felt sorry for myself that I got moved out of, I like to say, my bread and butter. But, you know, I think it was an unfortunate situation that, again, I could have done things differently to maybe improve that situation. But at the time, you know, I'm a freshman in college. I'm on a good football team. You know, at the time we had come off a good season. Everything was looking up, and that's when I started getting caught up in I'm a Division I football player at a big football school. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's SEC, but I'm a Division I football player at a big-time football school. I'm untouchable. So I started getting into, you know, the whole party atmosphere. You know, my freshman year, it wasn't until probably midway through the season that I started traveling a little bit with the team. Ended up redshirting. Had to put on like 40 pounds, 50 pounds. I mean, it was just a whole different thing. So I'm eating whatever I want, not eating good stuff, just trying to put on weight as quickly as possible. From a workout standpoint, I tried to attack every workout in the weight room, the runs, all that stuff. That's where I tried to really excel. But when it came to the off-the-field football stuff, as far as, like I said, preparing and trying to teach myself, you know, the system and learning all the calls and stuff, that's where I think that I lacked and had messed up. And I have no problem saying that now. You know, at the time, I'm like, no, I'm doing this stuff. I'm doing enough. I'm like, no, you weren't. You weren't doing enough.
It's funny you mentioned that. There's this fighter out of Stout, Britt. She's been on this podcast, and she mentioned, like, she was talking about, like, at the end of the day, have you done everything that you should have done?
Yeah.
Like, no matter the outcome, if you've given your 100% in that, like, the outcome will take care of itself.
Right.
But, like, a lot of people say they're doing, like you said, no, I'm doing what I need to do. But are you really?
Exactly.
You know, because, like, something like that, that's something you have to go all in. Your whole position just switched. You have different responsibilities, and especially as a center, you're the leader. You're one of the leaders for the linemen right now. Like, they're counting on you,
right?
Which then your quarterback's counting on you. Your running back's counting on, like, whoever has the ball's counting on you, because you got to protect the pocket. You got to protect whatever the play is. Like, it's your responsibility to vocalize that, recognize what's going on, be able to translate that. And dish it out so your team now understands what's going on.
Yep.
So it's interesting you mentioned that, because you're like, oh, at the time, yeah. But, like, we do that with life too.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like we don't like the situation we're in, and it's like, oh man, I'm trying. Are you, like, health and fitness is a big one, a lot, like, and I'm guilty of this myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'll go to the gym. My last time at the gym, Friday. I wake up 4:30, go to the gym before work. And then I'm answering emails, real estate emails, or this, or work emails when I'm not at work yet. I'm just boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, I'm like, fuck, like, oh, at least I did a workout, right?
Yep.
Everyone says, well, go, at least you do it. Yeah, that's great. But, like, I just blew quality sleep, quality workout for junk.
Right.
Like, because I did not solve any issues with my real estate emails, whatever I was doing on my phone. Right. I solved nothing.
Right.
And I didn't work out. And we get into this like, oh, I did what I could. But did you?
Right.
Because then I'm sitting on my computer, I'm showered, sitting on my computer at work, and I'm kind of, like, annoyed at myself, like, dude, I just blew a workout. It's a quality work, I blew it. And I'm like, no, like, I was on my phone, I was distracted, I was walking around, like, my rest sets turned into 5 minutes and 8 minutes and 10 minutes, and I'm like, you know, having the ability to check yourself in the moment is crucial, because you don't want to be years down the road like, man, I did not give my best at that. I said I did, but I know I didn't now. And sometimes you grow, you know, and you're like, wow, man, like, I thought I was giving my all. And if that was your all at that time, fucking A.
Yeah.
Like, you can't knock yourself for where you're at in life.
Right.
But we do that too. You know, like, you get some people get a job and they're like, well, I want to be in this position. Like, bro, you got to walk before you run.
Exactly. Yep.
You know?
You got to pay your dues.
Pay your dues.
Absolutely.
But also, there's people in that same position who have been there for a long time and they're not doing what's required, and they're wondering why they're in that position. Well, like, what are you? Are you the first one in the office?
Right.
Are you turning on the lights, starting the coffee? Are you the first person the boss sees when he comes into the office?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the last person he sees when he or she walks out? Like, it's little things like that.
Right.
Like, are you putting in your time and effort?
Right.
A lot of times we get into an office job and we're shopping online, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, why am I not getting promoted? It's like,
That's good. You spend an hour and a half on TikTok.
yeah, ask yourself why. So it's important that you're able to diagnose that, because now in life you can be like, man, am I really giving my all?
And that's where I think that whole situation had benefited me to where I am now, because I look back and I go, here's what I did last time. I'm not proud of what I accomplished there and the way that I went about, quote unquote, trying to accomplish it. How are we going to actually do it? You know, what do I need to prove to this guy, to this, because obviously we'll get into it in a little bit, but what do I need to do to prove to this surgeon, hey, I know my shit. I can help you in any situation. It's not just going to come. I mean, I never went to med school. I never took an anatomy class. I've had to teach myself, you know, with the help of my company, of course, but had to teach myself primarily everything that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis now.
Yeah, we'll get into that, because that's interesting. So what ended up happening with your football career?
So freshman year, redshirted. Sophomore year, started seeing a little bit of time. Started off as, you know, I was in on the PAT unit on field goal, to getting, you know, a few plays here and there. Injuries occurred. I'd maybe get a couple more plays here and there. Just a rotational guy. So went through 2 seasons with Jeff Collins. End of the second season, right before the bowl game, we're playing in the military bowl. So let me backtrack. Freshman year, redshirted. We had a good season. I think we went 8-4, 8-5, maybe something like that. Got to go to the Gasparilla Bowl in St. Petersburg, Florida. Awesome experience. Played FAU, beat them. We got some nice shiny rings. You know, I'm like, oh, this is sweet. Like, in love with college football. Not in love with football at the time, because I wasn't playing. I thought, you know, all these coaches, they're not giving me a chance. But it goes back to, I wasn't preparing myself to get that chance. I wasn't proving to them that I deserve a chance. In my mind at the time, I was.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, absolutely. So fast forward, spring ball goes pretty good. Get into summer, you know, we're working out. Camp comes around. I think it was the 3rd week of camp. I'm pulling on a play. Someone goes down in front of me. I try to jump over them to get to the next level. It feels like a gunshot goes off in my foot. I'm like, what the hell was that? Don't feel any pain, nothing. I'm sitting there. My first thought was my Achilles, so I'm grabbing my Achilles. I'm like, oh, that feels good. So I'm like, all right, cool. Stand up, thinking it's just a fluke. Lo and behold, stand up, can't walk. All the pain hits me. The plantar ligament, bottom of my foot, snapped. Just completely snapped. So that was.
How does that happen?
No idea. No idea. I don't know if it was, you know, not being hydrated and the ligaments was so tight, or, you know, what it was, just one of those freak things that something happens. So that sets me back 8 weeks, come through midway through the season. At this point, start kind of getting back to my groove, not really rotating at the time because I'd been out for so long. I was out of shape. I didn't do the right things when I was hurt, you know. I was still eating shitty, you know. I mean, we had those meal swipes, so I'm going and getting burritos. I'm going and getting Chick-fil-A every day. I'm not taking care of my body the way that I should have been. We get back to it, coming towards the end of the season. I'm starting to get back to where I was a little bit, and then same thing happens right before the bowl game. Just same foot, just completely re-injured it right before the bowl game.
Was it healed up, or did you?
I think I pushed it a little bit. Now I gave it a solid 6 weeks. I mean, for 5 weeks I was on one of those scooters with my foot in a boot. I was non-weight bearing. I couldn't put any pressure on it. And then once I was able to start putting some pressure on it, I just had them tape me up a specific way, and I'm like, oh yeah, it feels good today. I'm going. Do a little more than I should. I mean, obviously I was going to be sore, but very quickly there I had to learn the difference between being hurt and being injured, and playing through and being able to distinguish the two. Because you can play while you're hurt. It's football. You're gonna play while you're hurt. You can't play when you're injured.
That's a good point.
So again, this is my now second season. Was injured, was going through the motions, or excuse me, this is my third season now. Was injured, came back from it, re-injured, the same thing. So at this point, mentally, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is just one thing after another happening? Why can't I just stay healthy? Why can't I play? So at this point, I really start leaning towards the going out with, you know, my other buddies who were injured. The team they go to Dallas to play SMU. We're sitting back. Text my buddy, hey, Friday beers, nickel beers, let's go. We're just sitting at the bar I'm sitting there with my crutches. He's there with his crutches with a bar seat, just getting after it, the two of us. So at this point, I kind of saw a little bit of a turn where it's like, all right, you're really not focused on getting back together. You're focused on feeling sorry for yourself. You're focused on doing the wrong things where you should be focused on basically living in that training room, getting as much treatment as I can, and mentally taking advantage of this time that you're physically not able to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, get your mind, like, this is the time
yep.
to get your mind squared away,
Yep.
so that when football comes back,
yep.
your mind is squared, now your body gets squared.
Right.
And like a lot of people, like, the gym is easy.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the gym, you lift a weight.
Yep.
It has a reaction to your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you run, reaction to your body. We struggle with getting our mind, like, our mind is like a muscle. We must work it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had Coach Megan from Ear Fitness Academy,
Mm-hmm.
and she mentioned discipline being like a muscle.
Right.
Like, you have to train your discipline muscle.
Yep.
Like you do your chest, your biceps, your triceps, whatever muscle, like, it needs to be trained. Your brain essentially is the discipline muscle.
Right.
Like, if you're not pushing that, you're not training that, you're not saying no to the things you need to say no to, you're not saying yes to the things you need to say
right.
yes to, your discipline muscle,
mm-hmm.
I told her I'd steal it. I'm stealing it. Dude, it applies. It just applies. Your discipline muscle gets stronger or gets
mm-hmm.
weaker. It's
right.
one of those things. Like, the mind is such a strong thing, but it's also such a fragile thing,
mm-hmm.
you know? Like, how many times have you had, like, your day starts off bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I'm having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you had a bad moment.
Yep.
That's not defining your day.
Right.
You're going to allow it to define your day,
mm-hmm.
which then is going to be a trickling effect to how your day is. And then you're going to end up having a bad day.
Right.
But, like, our mind is so fragile, and people will be like, I'm mentally stuck. Yeah, but it's so delicate. You need
mm-hmm.
to train it constantly. That's
Absolutely.
why I'm always trying to do hard things or uncomfortable things, or like, and this is probably not highly recommended. I probably shouldn't even mention this. My work will hear this, but, like, you know, my surgeon tells me your meniscus is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you short of you doing something dumb, you can't hurt it.
Right.
What you're feeling now is the effects of the surgery. You're swollen, you're stiff. He's like, don't baby it. Keep it in motion. put weight on it. Make sure you're bending it and moving it. If you feel pressure or pain, like, obviously don't go past that. But, like,
mm-hmm.
once you start to feel fatigued, you know, get off of it. You know, and then I have someone else telling me, oh, you should be on crutches still, because you don't want to strain it too much.
Right.
So I'm like, who do I listen to?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my mind, I'm like, well, if I can walk, I'm gonna walk.
Right.
I'm not just gonna automatically go to crutches. Which, the first 2 days after surgery, I was like, I'm gonna crutch it up because I couldn't walk. But I'm like, no, I can walk. Like, I got a little limp, but, like, I focused on, you know, heel to toe,
mm-hmm.
and it's little things like that. Like, I want to walk so bad normally,
mm-hmm.
like, so bad that I miss running and I don't even run.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, man, I wish I could go for a jog.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Like, this sucks.
Right.
And now it's, like, affecting my other leg because I'm compensating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but so I'm going through the small motions that are necessary. Like, you know, my PT's like, when you're walking, heel,
mm-hmm.
roll, toe. Make sure your leg is extended.
Overemphasize
it.
Yeah.
Overemphasize everything. And, like, it's easy for us, something so small and so dumb, to just be like, nah, that's, like, minuscule.
Right.
And ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what's required right now.
Absolutely.
And it's hard and it's tough.
Yep.
And it hurts, but it's not injuring me.
Right.
I like that you made the distinction. Mm-hmm. Like, it hurts, but I'm
not injured.
I'm not injuring
yep.
it. You know. So I'm working through these small things, as impatient as I am
mm-hmm.
and stuff, but it's, I don't even know how I got to that point, but I do this all the time.
You're good.
But yeah, it's important to train that discipline muscle
Right.
and push that envelope, because at this moment you can go one or two ways.
Right.
You can be like, man, I'm hurt. My team's out there working, and I'm here in a bar, pitting myself and drinking. Right. Like, if my team knew what I was doing, would they be proud of me?
Right.
Would they trust me to be by their side on a football field?
Right.
You know, so it's crazy you mentioned that, because I mean, we've all been through there, bro. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's important to recognize those feelings and feel it.
Yep.
And you know, sometimes but being able to recognize, like you did, and like, man, what am I doing?
Right. And that's one of the things I look back, that obviously I don't like to say that I regret anything, but I have no problem saying what I would change. And, you know, rather than me sitting there at that bar with my buddy, like, go watch the game, or go watch extra film. Go teach yourself those plays that you struggled with before this all happened, you know. But at the time, I wasn't able to do that for whatever reason.
No, I mean, yeah, you're in that moment and
Right.
stuff that, like,
Exactly.
hindsight's 20/20.
Absolutely. So
What they call it? Monday night quarterbacking. That's what you're doing, bro.
But so fast forward a little bit. So that year we end up going to the Military Bowl, Washington, D.C. At this point, two of my best friends on the team, one of them's unfortunately knee got destroyed. He was an offensive lineman with me, got two linebackers tackled the running back right into his knee sideways as he was planted.
Oh, man,
So
I
he's
know
done.
all about that.
So he's done for the season. My other buddy ended up having to get a plate and some screws in his foot and ankle, so he's done for the season. So at this point, you know, season's done. We fall one game short of playing in the conference championship, but we're going to a great bowl game versus North Carolina in the Military Bowl. And how the bowl games work is there's tiers to it. So obviously there's, you know, college football playoffs. You got I think it's the Peach Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and so on and so forth. Well, the tier list starts going down and down and down. And not necessarily that it's a worse bowl game, because if you make a bowl game, it's a successful season.
Oh, absolutely.
The school gets money, you get gear. So how it worked with us was we made the bowl game. The university was required to get us bowl gear. The bowl game was required to get us bowl gear, and we were Under Armour, so Under Armour was required to get us bowl gear. So the night before we leave, we get 2 suitcases full of sweatsuits, hoodies, shirts, polos, probably 4 or 5 pairs of shoes. We're like, this is sweet.
That's dope.
Or excuse me, this was the week before. The week of, we're supposed to leave on a Friday. On a Tuesday, they're like, hey, everyone needs to stay after practice. You're getting your first bowl gift from the Military Bowl. We're like, all right, cool. What we got? I'm sitting there, I'm like, sweet, we're going to get like some more gear. Truck pulls up, starts unloading TVs. Military Bowl had a deal with Microsoft or whoever their deal was with. Everyone on the team got a 55-inch smart Vizio TV.
Damn, I didn't know they do it like that.
It's crazy. When they went to the Military Bowl the year before I had gotten there, and at this time the Military Bowl was sponsored with Microsoft. Everyone on the team got like a $600 gift card to Microsoft. So guys are getting the new
What's it called, the
Xboxes.
Surface?
Yeah, something like that. I'm an iPad guy, so I can't.
Same.
But
let me premise.
But so we're getting that. Fast forward, the end of the week, we take the drive down. We're staying nice hotel in D.C. We're practicing at Maryland's facility, and this whole time I'm hurt. So me and my buddies are like, we have no responsibilities. I mean, during practice, they have us doing like, it was called the pit, where all the injured guys would go. And while everyone was out there practicing, we're over there doing arm farm. We're doing whatever workout we could do based off of what our injury was. So I know, like, hey, I was in a boot, and at this time I was probably 2 weeks weight bearing. Like, I was able to walk around a little bit better now. And in Maryland's football facility, they got an overlook of the whole indoor facility, but it's like probably 4 or 5 flights of stairs to get up there. So in my boot, they're having me and the other kid in his boot just walking backwards, walking sideways up these 4 or 5 flights of stairs the entire practice.
Dude, that's like punishment.
To make it worse, again, we're in D.C. We know we don't have to practice. We know we're not playing in the game. Night before, we're out till 2 in the morning in the bars drinking. So we're doing all this, just sweating out everything we drank the night before. I mean, it was miserable.
I think
But-
they did that on purpose. Like,
Oh, absolutely. They know what we were
yeah.
doing. Yeah, there's no
they
question.
want to fuck around.
So you usually, I don't know how other schools did it, but Temple was, we'd get there 5 or 6 days before the game. First night, no curfew. Second night, curfew's like 2 a.m. Third night's 1 a.m., so on and so forth. It gets earlier and earlier leading up the closer you get to the game. Well, again, for guys not playing, we don't have the curfew. So every night we're out. There's this bar right across from the hotel. We're out there just having a good old time. I mean, we're not doing anything stupid. We're just a couple, football players sitting in a booth just getting drunk, not having a care in the world. Fast forward, game comes around. We're getting beat up pretty good. My buddy's on his phone at halftime of the game. We don't know where our head coach is. He's on his phone halftime of the game. Head coach takes a job at Georgia Tech.
Like mid-game?
Mid-game. Or at least we found out mid-game. So I don't know if he took it beforehand, what the deal was.
Was he there at the start of the game? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's crazy.
And we thought it was weird because we're sitting in the locker room. There's like not really adjustments being made. There's nothing going on. We're like, God, we're down by 14. Like, we're in this.
Yeah, people have come back from worse.
Yeah, we're in this. Nothing changed. We ended up getting blown out by North Carolina. Coaching staff leaves to go to Georgia Tech. So now here we are, yet again, just like before I even got there, sitting there like, what the hell is going on? Like, we don't have a coach. We have no rules. There's nothing in place for the next 2 weeks before we go on Christmas break. Like, what's going on?
Like, are we practicing?
Exactly.
Are we off?
Didn't do anything. We did nothing. We sat there. We felt sorry for ourselves. We partied. We had a great time, but nothing going on.
But it didn't translate to the team building.
Exactly. So we're home on Christmas break, home for New Year's. We have to report back January 5th or whatever it was. I think it was January 3rd. We get a text message, hey, team meeting. We got the new coach. New coach comes in, a guy named Manny Diaz. So he has a team meeting with us, fluffs us up. Oh, I can't wait to be a part of this historic program, the culture, blah, 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 all this stuff. We're like, all right, cool. We got a guy who cares.
He's mixing.
We got a guy who cares. Go through workouts the next week. He's in every workout watching us, talking to us, all this. Next week comes around. It's Wednesday. When our team run, we're doing mat drills. I don't know if you've heard of mat drills. So mat drills, they would take us to the indoor facility, or if it wasn't below zero, we'd do it on the outdoor field, or turf field. Because at Temple, football had their own weight room. We had our own training facility, our own locker room on the edge of campus. It was just like, it was like a compound, essentially.
Football compound.
Exactly.
Trying to get like you, my boy.
But mat drills was, you'd be separated into teams. For winter workouts, we'd be separated into teams. It'd be a draft. The leaders on the team would pick the guys. Like I said, it's a full-on draft, and it's a competition. At the end of winter workouts after the spring game, whatever team had the most points at the end of it won, like, we used to call it a swag bag. And it was just a duffel bag full of customized shoes, sweatsuits, all this stuff. If your team came in last, you had to stay after the spring game and clean everything up, take down all the bleachers, all that stuff. So you didn't want to lose. But
yeah, that's raw.
So mat drills, you would get there, and there'd probably be 10 different stations set up, and it's all competition based. It's driving a sled, it's tug of war. I mean, it's intense. So we're going through mat drills. We get done with mat drills. They call a team meeting. We're like, what are we having a team meeting for? We just had a great mat drill. Like, seemed like everyone was busting their ass. Team meeting, lo and behold, again, this is 2 weeks after we get back from break. Manny Diaz leaves. Takes another job somewhere. So here we are yet again. This has been, in 3 months, 2 coaching changes now. Have no idea what our next plan is. Strength coach stayed with us for a little bit. So we still had workouts like that. We still had the weight room. We still had conditioning. But there was no team dynamic. At this point, we're like, fuck this. We have no leader. No one wants to stay here with us. Why the hell should we care? And this is where I started to mentally, I'm checked out at this point. Mentally,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
this
easy
is
to
so much
do.
bullshit
Yeah,
that
it's
I'm
easy to
dealing
do.
with. There's no guy who wants to come in here and, you know, help us out. Like, so why the fuck should we care? You know? So they ended up getting a guy real quickly, and instantaneously, it wasn't a mesh. It was a guy from Midwest, came from a small town in the Midwest. You put him in North Philadelphia. Could not relate. It was hard. There was no team dynamic. The coaches and the players were all headbutting. I mean, it was a bad, I don't want to say it was a bad situation, but it was not a good situation. So this is now, I'm trying to think, this is the end of, I had just finished up the third season, getting ready to go into my fourth season. At this point, my focus was, I'm going to double up on classes and I'm going to get out of here. Finish my degree and I'm gone. So I finished my degree in 3.5 years and then ended up playing one more year at Temple. But of course, the last year I played there, we're in the spring, we get sent home for the spring. We're like, look, something's going on. We don't know what's going on. Everyone stay in your apartments. Like, workouts are canceled for the foreseeable future. We're like, what the hell is going on? Week goes by. Hey, we're going to send everybody home. We don't have any information about what's going on, but everybody needs to go back home, be with your family, and be safe. COVID. COVID hits. Everything got shut down completely. So now...
COVID was a bitch,
you can have whatever your thoughts are on it. I mean, I have my
yeah, and I'm not even talking about
the
the political part. I'm talking about that was a point where like the entire
world
shut down.
It was just on a pause.
And like I've never been through something like that growing up, and like it's like I know how tough it was for my kid. You know, she was starting school.
Yeah.
I had just caught her up to like the level she's supposed to be at, and then it's like, psych.
Yep.
We're gonna stare at a tablet.
Yep.
Like all personal communication. I personally went through a rough time. Like I was so isolated and stuff. So when I say she's a bitch, I mean like it affected.
Oh yeah.
Football, MMA, companies, small
life.
businesses. Yeah. Everyone was affected, and like it's like I like having these conversations now because someone took something from that tragedy.
Yep.
Like people, you know. Like it's crazy how people's life changed. Like I know for, you know, a couple of my family members in Puerto Rico, like their like farms and industries were shut down. So they were like, we're going to get into this. And now they have, like now they're in like the corporate world.
Right.
And it took something so bad like that to happen for them to realize like, man, this isn't sustainable for my family. And they pivoted, and now they're in something way better than they were in. And sometimes it takes something like that happening for you to realize like, man, like you have no other choice but to figure it out.
Right.
Are you going to?
Yep.
So COVID shuts down your program.
COVID shuts down, and we had a group meet at the time of the entire team, just like where we could, like the coaches would text, check in. You know, we would do like little things like sending videos of each other working out, sending videos of each other, you know, like
an accountability thing.
Exactly,
yeah,
an accountability thing. So like, I know we got some of the guys who lived out in the country. They're out there sending videos of them flipping tree logs or bench pressing, you know, a broken down tree, like stuff like that. I was fortunate that one of my buddies who lived nearby, once we did, you know, the whole, what was it? Like the whole, I can't think about it.
What, like shut down?
When, like the isolation part, like for like 2 weeks, quarantine.
Oh, quarantine.
So, yes.
Yeah. Fuck that word.
Exactly.
Quarantine.
So once we had quarantined, and like my family knew we were good. My buddy's family knew that they were good. He had a gym in the basement. So every morning I was getting up, going over there, and just working out. We were sending videos of stuff like that. We're outside. My brother and I got real big into fishing at the time. And so this was a nice little, I say nice, but it was nice from the standpoint that I was able to go home for about 3 months. And it was kind of like a nice reset button. And prior to this, I mean, in my 3-4 years there prior to this, I maybe was only able to go home 2 weeks out of the year, 2-3 weeks out of the year max, depending on if we made a bowl game or when the bowl game was, stuff like that. So was able to go home, spend a lot of time with my brother, a lot of time with my family. Me and my buddies would once a week get on and we'd do like a virtual happy hour where we'd all just sit there and,
Yeah, there was like party rooms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're drinking by yourself on video with other people.
Yep.
Dude, fuck it. Like when I'm 80 and I'm telling these stories, my grandkids are going to be like, if I have grandkids, I'm like, what are you, like, what?
Yep.
Which by then that's probably going to be a normal thing because kids are so into their tablets
it's
and phones
insane.
now. So
Yeah.
maybe they'll be like, well, you guys did this back then. It's like, yeah,
We started this.
we started this. Trendsetters. Yeah. So, okay. Like I said, good, some good, some silver lining. You get to
Absolutely.
spend this time with your family now.
Yeah, so spend this time with my family again. It was probably about 2.5, 3 months maybe that we had a little hiatus from school to home. Things started calming down. Things were more under control. They were like, look, we're going to bring everyone back, but things are going to be a lot different this summer for summer workouts. So we got back there in June, and every morning we had to go take a COVID test. Every morning we had the nose. Oh, the first time I got it, I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, this is miserable. Miserable.
My eyes are starting to rub.
But we weren't allowed more than, I think, 10 people in a workout group. So workouts started at 6 a.m. and it was hour-long sessions every hour until 4 o'clock. They would just split it up. So we weren't allowed in the locker room at the time. We weren't allowed in the training room. So they gave us a makeshift locker room outside, like under a big white tent, because we had to have air flowing at all times. We couldn't lift in the weight room, so they brought all the weights outside onto the turf under a tent. And they brought like our platforms and everything like that. So
I got my fucking opinions on that.
So we're out there, 95 degrees outside, because of course my group had to be at 11:30, 12, whatever it was. Peak time. So not only is it 95 degrees out there, but we're on the rubber turf, and we're isolated in this tent with one fan trying to flow in and out. So it's like 120 degrees while we're lifting. We got, not me, but we got guys in there squatting 500-600 pounds on turf. I'm just like, how the what is this?
At what point does the risk outweigh the reward?
Exactly.
You're gonna get injured. You know, you have heat stroke. You have dehydration. You have, but it's, and like, oh, dude, there's some, bro.
It was.
It's like with
wild.
restaurants too that now still have it. Like they're like, oh, we can't be inside, so we're gonna build something outside so people could be inside, and we're gonna take up every fucking parking spot that doesn't exist already in Pittsburgh.
So you've been on Penn Ave.
It's still a thing.
Yep.
So like these restaurants now just created more seating for themselves and took out parking. Oh, dude, I can go off. This is not about politics or none of that
not in the
shit.
slightest bit.
It's just a lot of fucking
bullshit,
shiesty shit happen. Like, and it's still going on. It's like now you're on the street and you got to dodge the biker, the platform that they built that now is being used.
Yep.
And then you can park. Like, oh! Anyway, sorry. So, okay, you're dealing with, I could fucking go off.
Oh, I don't blame you. But yeah, so we dealt with that all summer. We go into camp. Things are starting to get back to some sense of a normalcy. We're in the middle of camp, and we're in the inside run period.
Who's your coach at this time? I'm sorry. I'm like...
No, you're good. Rod Carey was his name. He came from NIU.
Fourth.
This was my fourth coach.
Okay.
Yes, my fourth coach, fourth coaching staff. I would say third coaching staff, because from when Rule left to that new staff that came in immediately, like I said, they retained probably 4 or 5 guys on staff that I will never dispute this. The guy who came in, Jeff Collins, did an unbelievable job of maintaining the culture. And he was a player advocate coach. I mean, he got as much for us as he could. He was a great guy. I mean, I think if he was to see this right now, I'd tell him I'm overly appreciative of everything he did for me.
Oh, hopefully he sees it.
And I wish that I was able to do more for him, as well as my offensive line coach. Like, I wish that, looking back, like, these are the guys that I'd love to sit down and have a beer with and be like, look, I didn't give you my all, and I'm sorry for that.
Why don't you?
Trying to get back to Philly's hard. We are going to go back for homecoming this year.
Bro, I've been wanting to go back to Penn State.
Yeah.
And I don't. And, like, I just asked you that question. I got to ask it to myself, like, why don't I?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
we're going to
I
take the time. My buddies and I, we just got an Airbnb this week, so we're going in October with our lovely significants and going to go see a game and spend some time in Philly just with a bunch of the guys, hopefully get the coaching staff out, or at least some of the guys that stayed on, get some drinks with them.
I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting. Like, a lot of my childhood was survival. And then my young adulthood was grinding, right? Like, I got to make up for what I lost.
Right.
And then, you know, I put myself in this hole where I'm like what? Like, I do so much for other people, and that's not a flex. It's like I thoroughly enjoy it, but it's like what do I do for what have I done for myself?
Right.
And like a couple of weeks ago, actually, I sat down with a piece of paper, and it's like, what am I doing for me, right? And like, it's easy to say working, right? I love what I do.
Right.
It's like I do get enjoyment out of it, but like, it's not for me.
Right.
You know, real estate. Yeah, I make money. Yeah, I enjoy it. But like, it's not for me.
Right.
When I sit down and I'm like, what am I doing strictly for me? I didn't have a fucking thing on that paper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like, what does that mean? You know, like, when you ask a man, and this is for other people too, but like, I surround myself by a lot of guys.
Right.
So when I ask like one of my boys, like, what do you do for yourself? Like, we never have an answer for that. It's like, damn, what do I do for myself? So like, I want to make it a point that like me and Nico have been talking about going to a Penn State game.
Yeah.
We haven't though.
Right.
Dude, he's running his stores. You know, he's got his stuff going on.
Right.
I got my stuff going on. And it's just like, dude, it's one day. Like, why don't we?
Right.
And we just don't sit down and plan it.
Right.
You know, and sometimes that's what it is. It's like, you don't sit down and go, this is going to happen. And I found I've made it a point to do that. Like a good friend of mine who was also on the Relentless Project, Corey. He's like, dude, like we both love jiu-jitsu, although he was against it in the beginning, gave me so much shit. He's also my tattoo artist.
Yeah.
He's like, jiu-jitsu, bro, it's fucking weird, guys. Now he's like all jiu-jitsu. It's fun. He's actually really good at jiu-jitsu, although he shits on himself. He's like, bro, let's go to ADCCs in Vegas, like the World Championships. Let's go. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, I love jiu-jitsu. I can't train right now.
Right.
Why not go see like the top dudes of the world training?
Right.
Or competing, rather. So we're fucking going to go do it.
That's awesome.
August 15th to the 19th.
That's
we're going to Vegas to
awesome.
fucking just go to jiu-jitsu.
That's gonna be sweet.
some gambling. But, yeah, and then CJI came out, which I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Craig Jones,
Okay.
like, he has an issue with how ADCC treats the competitors and pays or lack of pay, rather. This is all just stuff from me reading.
Right.
Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. So he's like, I'm going to make my own competition, and I'm going to have it on the same weekend in the same area. And I guess ADCC pays their like winners $10,000. He's like, and everyone who is accepted to compete gets paid $10,001.
I love it.
Dude, he's like
love
super
it.
petty with this shit. I fucking love it. And like the pot's like $1 million for
Yeah.
the winner or something crazy. Like,
Yeah.
so he's like pushing the envelope for this jiu-jitsu. So we bought ADCC tickets.
Yeah.
And then this shit comes out and we're like, this is Corey's like, bro, I bought CJI tickets.
One in Rome.
And I'm just gonna sell the ADCC tickets. I'm like, like all the athletes are leaving to go to the CJI. It's
Right.
like, why wouldn't you? It's like a company saying, hey, how much do you get paid an hour? And you're like, oh, 20. What's your bonus? $2,000. How about I pay you $2,000 every time you come here? And you're
Right.
like, well, okay.
All right.
Well, same culture, same company, same.
Yep.
Okay, fuck
I'm
it.
in.
So like, yeah. Anyway, doing stuff for yourself. I don't
Yeah.
know how I got on that tangent, dude. I do that. That's why I love. That's why I like. You just fucking press record and just talk shit.
I love it.
So you're dealing with this culture change. You're now with your family. You're come back. You're in the swing of things.
Yep, swing of things. Things are going good. The new system. I'm understanding the new system. I'm like, you know what? Things are clicking again. I'm liking this. So we get into camp, probably second or third week of camp, and I don't want to say I'm fighting for a starting spot, but I'm definitely, pushing the limit a little bit, trying to, prove to this new staff, like, look, despite what, my history here has been, my performance here, like, I want this. I've made changes. It was a nice reset. So week 3 of camp, summer camp, we're out there. We're in inside run period. So it's offensive line, quarterback, and running back versus defensive line and linebackers. And it's just working strictly on run game. Run 5 plays, come out, and I'm like, something feels a little weird. Can't put a finger on it, but something feels a little weird. Go back in for my next series, come back out, and I'm like, I don't know. Can't put a finger on it, but I'm good. So I go down to grab some water, and I'm drinking some water, squirt myself off. And I go to put the water back in the caddy, and when I stand up, everything's in like slow motion. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I went to say something to my buddy at the time, and like I'm turning to him, looking at him. Again, this is all in slow motion. Next thing I know, I reach to grab his arm, and everything goes black. I hear people yelling, like I'm hearing stuff. I can't open my eyes. I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? So I come back to it. I'm laying on the ground. My helmet's off of me. And I'm just kind of laying there. All the trainers are around me. My offensive line coach, the head coach, everyone's around me, like talking to me, like, you're good, relax, you're good, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know what's going on.
Motherfucker, you're like, I ain't good.
Like, exactly. Like, I'm so out of it. Like, I'm dazed. Like, everything's spinning. I'm like, what is going on? Lo and behold, I had a seizure.
Oh, shit.
So this happens again. So I come back to it. I see everyone around me trying to figure out what's going on. And like, I hear my teammates like yelling, like, you're good. We got you. Like, you're good. But again, not knowing what's going on, it's freaking me the fuck out. And I start seizing up again. So then again, blackout, come back to it. At this time, it's my roommate, who was a quarterback at the time, and 2 of my buddies on the offensive line, and then the trainers and the head coach. My roommate's sitting there holding my hand, like, he's like, dude, you're good. Like, you're good. We got you, blah, 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 all this stuff. So last thing I remember from that was I, like, closed my eyes. I didn't seize again. I seized twice, but I didn't do it again. I closed my eyes, and I'm just trying to compose myself, like, all right. You have everyone that you need around you. Like, the trainers are good. Open my eyes, and I'm on a gurney going to the hospital. Whatever wasn't heat related, it wasn't a hit I took, just for whatever reason, just I had seized up.
No, I apologize.
No, you're good. No.
Have you had a history?
Never.
It was just like out of the blue.
It was out of the blue. No.
Dude, that's wild. Dude, seizures freak me out, man.
That was the first time that, like, you roll your ankle or your ankle gets rolled up. It's like, shit, like, this hurts, but I know what happened.
You're conscious of what's going on. Yeah.
This was scary for me because I didn't know what caused it. I didn't know what repercussions it was going to have. Nothing like this.
And people who've had seizures, they say they can, like, sense them. Do you think that when you couldn't put a finger on it, was that like the onset of it? Like, have you had a seizure since then?
No, it was
okay. Because I was gonna say, like,
yeah.
I've known a few people who suffer from seizure disorders, like, regularly.
Yeah,
and they're like, I can actually, like, feel when it's coming on.
Right,
like, it's like a sense.
Yeah,
like, they can't really explain.
See, that's
that,
and I think it would be hard for me, never experiencing one before, never knowing, what causes, like, having no information about seizures.
Yeah, no, dude, that's crazy. So
for me, sitting there, like, honestly, I kind of thought that I just got my bell rung, like, a little bit, like, because I felt it was like that, I don't want to say lightheaded feeling, but it was like a spacey feeling. So, again, playing offensive line, I mean, there's plenty of times that a linebacker's blitz and I've hit him with my head, and after
like,
the fact,
not doing that again.
I'm like, all right, cool. There's 3 of you right now, but cool.
No, yeah, I've told this story before, but our kicker, like, went down, and I would always fuck around with onside kicks at practice just because, like, I thought they were cool. And I was actually good at them, and our coach, like, pulls me. It's like 4th quarter, and we need the ball back. We're down by 1 touchdown. And he's like, yo, Lopez, like, that shit you do at practice, go do it. And I'm like, okay, like, what? You want me to kick? So then I think he called a timeout or some shit. We're huddling, and he's like giving this speech about like wall breakers, like break the fucking wall, Lopez. You're gonna kick it. You're gonna get it. This is what like fuck hyping us up. I'm like, dude, like it's fourth quarter. We're down a touchdown. We're about to fucking do this thing. I've never kicked a ball in a game in my life, and now you want me to onside kick? Like bet. So he's giving this speech about breaking the wall, like down the center, break the wall, break the wall, break the wall. I'm like, I'm about to break this fucking. And so later down, I figured like the kicker's not supposed to do that,
Right.
but I would always be on the end,
Right.
So, and I wasn't the fastest dude, so I would break the wall, and then the dude outside of me gets past.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, dude, break the wall. I'm about to bust some lights, bro. Mind you, I'm 140 pounds in high school. I'm not this 230-pound man. I'm 145 pounds. And so I onside kick it. Dude, it hits beautifully. Hits the first dude, comes down, and I see this like dog pile about to start, and I see 3 dudes like coming in front of the dog pile.
Yep.
I'm about to break this wall. Boom! Bro, I hit the ground. I know the dude I hit hit the ground, right? I like get up, and like 2 dudes struggle to get up. The one I hit, the third dude I was probably like a mosquito. This dude, he was like, "Oh, dude, you good?" You know. And I'm also playing. We didn't get the ball. Yeah. So we're on defense. I'm also playing defense, and like we're talking. I go out and I'm like, dude, I don't fucking feel right. Like I was like kind of like the slow motion. You look and like things were
delayed reaction.
Things were tracking right. And I look at my boy, and at this point I'm playing safety, and he's the corner, and I'm like, yo, bro, like I can't see. Yeah. And he's like looking at his dude. He's like, what? I'm like, I can't see. And I just like I hear like the when they hike the ball and like all the pads start hitting. I hear that, and then I wake up looking at at the top of an ambulance. Yeah. I'm like, am I going to fucking in an ambulance, bro? Yeah. Pass out, wake up in the ER. I'm like, what the fuck? Apparently when I blasted, I like got the worst concussion. We lost the game. Like it didn't give any of the, but I like, so then like my coach ends up coming to the ER after the game, and he's like, what the fuck were you thinking? Well, you said break the wall. Yeah. He's like, you fuck, that ain't for you. Like you're the kicker. I'm like, I've never played kicker before. Like so the kicker's supposed to hang back, and you're the last. Like you just gave me this fucking speech to break the wall. It's breaking the wall. He's like, you're fucking stupid, dude.
At the same time, it was like, I love it though.
So yes, I'm like, but did we win? He's like, no, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right. That would have been a cool story. Like, no, completely failed. But yeah, that like, I didn't know what was going on, man. Yeah. And I was like, when I couldn't see, like I could see, but it was like everything was delayed. It's almost like a computer program when it's like there's a virus and it's like freaking out, and you like move the cursor and it just tracks. I'm like, dude, what? Like, I think I freaked myself out, caused me to pass out maybe, because I'm like, dude, one thing is if I can't see, I freak the fuck out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I freaked the fuck out.
And that's what was scary for me, was that same thing. I don't know if my eyes were open, I just couldn't see, or if my eyes were shut and I couldn't open them.
Well, a lot of times they say it's the blood constricting or the nerve, like something going on with your brain that like essentially like the room starts to close.
But it was weird because whatever it was, I couldn't see a thing, but I could hear everything. So I heard, like, when I first hit the ground and started seizing, hearing my buddy who I like tried to grab, hearing his scream for the trainers, like it wasn't like a normal scream. It was like a scared.
Oh fuck yeah, and dude! Your boy goes down. You're like,
So like I guess he said, because I talked to him after, he said, dude, you tried to grab my arm. He said I tried to like grab you as you were falling. He said, but you just locked up, hit. He said, and your arms were straight in the air and you were just shaking. And that's like, again, I don't have any recollection of that. I just remember his scream for the trainers, and then cutscene, trainers around me, not being able to open my eyes, briefly opening my eyes, seeing what's going on, seeing who's around me, then goes black again.
Yeah, it was weird. It's wild. Yeah. Like how did that affect you later? Like, was that something that you're like, man, like, can that happen again?
I think it was more so the fact just like not knowing what caused it and not knowing if it was going to happen again. Like, am I going to be in the middle of a game making my calls and then all of a sudden dropping?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that in front. Like, my parents at the time were just getting on a cruise. So when it was all said and done, like I said to the trainers when we were in the ambulance, I was like, call my grandma. I was like, don't call my parents, call my grandma. So they called my grandma, and obviously my grandma had to call my parents. But trainers ended up talking to my parents, and they were like, look, he's good now. We don't know what caused it.
Stay on your cruise.
Like, they were like, they had just been leaving with 2 friends, and their 2 friends who were great family friends of ours, they were like, we'll get a flight right now and go straight to Philly. It's
crazy how that works, huh?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, us as parents, we'll be like, oh, I'm canceling my cruise.
Yeah.
Like, no. But, like, us as kids, we're like, don't. Like, no. Like stay. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. Like, I was discharged from the hospital probably 5 hours later, and they rolled it up to, like, a mixture of, like, the heat, a mixture of dehydration, maybe the collisions or whatnot.
It's a multitude of things.
Absolutely. And it was just one of those freak things. What I hated seeing was on Twitter after the fact, like, obviously after camp each day, we would have 2 or 3 media days during camp, and that's all the media wanted to ask the head coach about. And the head coach at the time, I mean, he was great about it. He was like, look, we know that he's stable. We're not sure what happened. You know, we're all wishing the best for him, but I'm not speaking on anything. He was like, this is an inside matter. You know, he was very, very good about that, which I appreciated.
That's awesome.
Because it seemed like every Philly media got, like, everything, like, Temple football player collapses, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm just looking at it.
It's like, taking the attention away from the team.
Exactly. Well, like, that and the fact just, like I was fine. Like, it was a freak thing. Yes, it was scary at the time, but once I was stable, once I was at the hospital and then discharged, it was like, I was just like, all right, let's just go back to normal.
I'm about to go back to practice.
Yeah. Like, so they held me out of practice for, like, a week or so, but everything after that, like, I had no effects afterwards. I had no, like, there was no damage or anything done. It was just like
well, that's questionable. No, I'm kidding.
It's that CTE. Blame it all on that.
Bro, Devin, I had Devin on here, and we always fuck around. I'd be forgetting shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I did some fighting back in the day, a lot of fighting back in the day. And, like, we train a lot together, and he's like, every time I forget something, he looks at me. He's a pro boxer. Mm-hmm. He looks at me, he goes, bro, it's CTE. Mm-hmm. Like, that's you, bro. That is you. Go watch his episode and tell me if that dude is right. Okay. If he's okay.
Okay.
He opens the episode in the camera. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, I just want to yell. Like,
okay. It might be. It might be. You might be there.
I love the dude, man. Like, harmless outside the ring, but, like, in the ring, dude's a savage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he goes by the king of violence, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you're not, like, you got to stop saying that.
Yeah.
Like, I get, like, you are deadly. Like, in the ring. I'm like, but, like, you're a fucking teddy bear. Like, you're awesome.
Having that on and off switch, though.
Yeah, dude. But, like, and I, like, fuck with him. Like, I respect him. Like, I'll fuck with him. That's our relationship. I'm like, bro, like, you're not the king of violence. Right. Like, you're so nice. Like, you're the coolest dude ever.
Yeah.
He's like, but, like, I knock people out. I'm like, yeah, you do.
Well, you do that.
That's
I've
violent.
seen that.
I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, king of violence to me is like, I don't know. You don't have that. I'm like, you can fight. I'm not saying that like he gets so like, kind of like
we're not taking away from that.
Yeah, I'm just like you're a cool dude. Like, people love you. Like, you're funny. You're bubbly. You're never serious. Like, let's stay with that. And he's like, all right, I'll be 007. Okay. Like, where's this coming from?
I'm gonna have to go find that.
Dude, he's hilarious. So all this stuff happens, man. Like, how does that define what you're gonna do next?
I try not to let it define me. I mean, like I said, like, for a week, like, my roommates would kind of check on me here and there. I mean, for a day or two, I was a little dazed, like, just be kind of zoning out and stuff. But I mean, really, after a few days, everything felt like, to me, it went back to normal. I was able to go back to practice, and everything was fine. So we play. So we're getting to that season. This happens, and I don't want to say it ruined my chances of playing or getting to that point that I wanted to, but I didn't get back to that point. And that's where I was like, at this point, I'm just like, it's one thing after another. Like, I'm so tired of this shit. Like, I'm getting this close, and then I get hurt. I'm getting this close, and then now this, I just call it an episode. This episode happens. And I was to the point where I was like, I'm done with football. I'm tired of this shit. Like, I just want to get my degree, be done, and move on from it. So we finish up the season, and I get my degree, and I'm like, well, fuck.
What'd you get a degree in?
So I got my undergrad in business administration, and I got my master's in sports and entertainment management. Originally, after that season, so let me backtrack a little. So that season does not go good at all. That was the COVID season. Nobody in the stands. There were cardboard cutouts in the stands. I mean, when we were playing the game, you'd be able to hear the conversation you and I are having from across the sidelines.
Dude, that's
like,
crazy.
It was weird. So that whole season, I think we only won 2 games, maybe 3 games max. I mean, it was a bad season. There was a lot of internal stuff going on between the players and the coaches and stuff like that. After that season, I think we had 15 starters transfer. They were just like, I can't play for this staff. So 15 guys leave, 8 of which...
That's a starting lineup.
Well, and 8 of which were my closest friends. Both of my roommates transferred out. One went to Michigan State. One of them, he had finished his eligibility, so he went and started law school. So I'm living in North Philadelphia by myself, and all my boys are wherever they are. A couple
on their
of
next
them,
chapter.
Yeah, they're on their next chapter. Went through, like, I started to pursue my master's in higher education because at this point, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was like, you know what? I respect what the academic advisors do. I think that that'd be something that I'd be very good at as someone who's been through all this stuff, being able to relate to student athletes on that level, as well as keeping them in line and keeping them on track. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and get a degree to where maybe I can become an academic advisor for a college for collegiate athletes. So that spring semester, I'm going through, like, taking all these classes. 2 weeks into that spring semester, I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I'm out of here. I was like, it's not the same school I fell in love with. It's different. The people are different. I was like, I have 1 year left of football. I was like, well, technically I had 2 because I had my 5th year, my redshirt year, and then because of COVID, everyone got that extra year.
Yeah.
So we technically had 6 years. But I said to him, I was like, look, I highly doubt I'm taking this 6th year. I have 1 more guaranteed year left of football. I want to enjoy myself. So I hop in the transfer portal, which is scary as shit because it's taking a chance. I went in and told the coaches, look, I appreciate everything, but I'm going to seek another opportunity and get my master's somewhere else. So at that point, our coach's rule was, if you're going to do that, wish you the best of luck, but you don't have a spot here anymore, which I can't blame them for that.
I can see both sides of that token.
Yeah. So hop in the transfer portal, and for a guy that didn't start a game, I was a rotational guy, never started a game at Temple, really didn't have a whole lot of great film to get me anywhere. So I was getting, some smaller schools. Like, I knew I wasn't going to go to a big school. I didn't want to go through that whole process again. So long story short, end up going on a visit to Western Carolina, which is in Cullowhee, North Carolina, right on the border of Tennessee and South Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Gorgeous. I fell in love with the school instantly. On my visit, I committed. On my visit, we're sitting at the hotel in the morning. We get a call from the offensive line coach. Hey, I just think you guys should know the head coach just got fired.
Bro,
my dad and I are sitting here just like you and I are going, and I'm answering. I'll put the phone on speaker in between us, and they say it, and my dad and I just start cracking.
I'd be like, of course he did, because
exactly.
Why wouldn't he?
Exactly, but like it make too much sense. Why? Yeah,
bro.
So he head coach gets fired. My dad and I are sitting here cracking up. We're like, all right, you know what? Like, we still have the visit set up. Went with a kid named Clay, And Clay and I are closest friends to this day. He's unbelievable human being, great person, great football player. One of those country boys who he has your back no matter what. And that's one of the things that I loved about down there is that's how all the guys were. All the guys on the offensive line that I played with, on the defense, everyone, it was truly a family. So I fell in love with that again because at Temple, that's what we had lost. It's what I fell in love with at Temple originally, and then over the years, it dispersed. So I get down there, gorgeous atmosphere. It's a super small town going from Philly. I think in town there was a Walmart, a Sonic, a hotel, and a Bojangles. And a cookout.
Ooh, Bojangles.
But everything about the campus was gorgeous. Again, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the stadium was cool. I was like, you know what? Regardless of this coaching situation, I've been through this before. Now I can come in as a guy who has not only experienced this situation once before, but I've experienced it 3 times before. So still ended up committing there and going there. Moved down there in middle of May, I believe it was, or something. Moved into a nice house. Was starting to love football. They had a new staff at the time. Offensive line coach was the man. We'd be in meetings, cracking up, teaching us a lot. I mean, he was a very fundamental football coach from the standpoint of not only schemes, but footwork. And he made it fun while we were learning. Like, he made it to where, how I said I struggled at Temple going in and doing the extra stuff, I loved going in to do the extra stuff here. So now I'm like, okay, like, things are clicking right now. The ball's kind of rolling. I walk in, immediately was put as, the center. I'm learning the system well. I'm doing all of this stuff. Like, everything is going great. So come camp time, we're in maybe the first week of camp or second week of camp. Again, running with the starting group, taking control of the offensive line. Like, I'm like, I love this. This is all I wanted, and I'm having a blast. So I think it was the second week of camp. We come in for a team meeting at night, and this is like 8:30 at night. Like, we're thinking it's just the normal camp, like the normal ending of camp for that day. Like, you have your team meeting, you grab snack, and you go home. We're sitting there.
And grab snack. Dude.
Yeah, we grab our snack.
Grab snack.
We do. I will say this. It was definitely a change going from Temple's camp to Western Carolina. Temple's camp, like, when we would have snack, it'd be,
Why is that so funny when you said
it's snack?
Give snack.
I mean, that's what it was called. We get our list for the day.
Snack.
It'd be like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. Everything scheduled out. Last thing on the schedule, snack with 2 exclamation points.
Okay, Barrett. Okay, I get it now.
But like, Temple's snack was always catered, whether it was Italian food, if it was wings or anything like that. Whereas Western Carolina, this is where I started to see like the difference in divisions and the difference in big school versus smaller school. Snack was like PB&J, chocolate milk, Gatorade, stuff like that, which, dude, I'm fine with it. I don't care.
I like an OG PB&J.
Oh, I'm a Smuckers guy. Strawberry Smuckers.
Uncrustables.
It's not. Yeah, is that the
Uncrustables, right?
What's Smuckers? Smuckers is the jelly they use on the Uncrustables. That's what I was thinking of. Yep.
There was a point on midnight shift. Mm-hmm. I had a routine. I go to Sheets.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get 3, maybe 4, peanut butter and honey Uncrustables. Dude, white milk, which I believe I'm lactose intolerant. So
that's a good combination.
It would destroy me, but I'd be happy. I'd eat it, and I'd go right to the station knowing that I'm about to turn it up. It was a routine, bro. Just like, it was so good.
Oh, yeah.
There's a shout out to the Uncrustables, bro, for real. You got me through midnight shift for years. Yeah, so it's a different environment. No, it's cool.
Different environment.
They kind of like ignite. It sounds like they ignited that passion for football again.
Yeah, because it was less about. I feel like at Temple, I got caught up again, like I said earlier, in the big school, Division I football player at a big school, and I got too caught up and overwhelmed with all the things that come with that, Whereas when I went to the other school, it was football. No glitz and glamour behind it. There were no media days. There was nothing like that. It was, you're here to play football. And again, like you just said, that's kind of what lit the flame again for me. So again, things are going great. I'm loving football. I'm having a blast. And then we have this meeting. And we're sitting there. We're like, damn, meeting was for 8:30. We're like, damn, it's 8:45. What's going on? Head coach comes in, and you could just tell something wasn't right. Says to the team, I forget his exact words, but guys, we're going to cancel team activities for tomorrow. Coach John, his name was John Peacock, RIP coach, but Coach John Peacock was found at his house, passed away.
Oh, shit.
No rhyme or reason as to what happened, just he took a nap on the couch and never woke up. And that crushed everything for me, because he was the one that made me love football again. He was the one that lit that flame again for me. And he unfortunately passed away. So that, and again, this is probably 2 months into me being in a whole new atmosphere with a whole new group of guys, brand new staff. And on that staff, he was the one that I went to for any and everything. Anytime, like, if there was something at home that happened, not that there was anything that was ever major, but anything that was bothering me back home, I go talk to him. If I just wanted to shoot the shit, I go talk to him.
He was a mentor.
He was absolutely a mentor.
I talk about how important that is. Like, when you're involved in these organized sports teams, like having these coaches who double up as mentors. Yes. You know, like, I think like my childhood was spicy and raunchy, but like it could have been a lot worse, especially during like high school when I was involved with football. Like, our coaching staff was like inner city school, you know, a lot of troubled youth, right. The typical. Dude, our coaching staff did a very good job at trying to keep us straight and keeping us disciplined. And there was some guys, like there was guys who, you know, had a ride to Michigan, right? Dude goes robs a Circle K, gets arrested.
It changes everything.
Like, you had a full ride.
Yeah.
You know, we had a kid who a day before practice, he, like, we're in preseason, and we're like, dude, fine, like, we got this kid, he's a beast, you know, like, it's gonna be good. Day before our actual season starts, shoots a dude in the back of the head in the park. Fuck me. And we're like obviously that takes precedent over the football team. Right. But I'm like, dude, like, why does this happen here? Right. So, like, you know, we had the ones who slipped through the cracks, and, you know, the coach wasn't able to fully engage them. Yeah. You know, and you'll get that. But a lot of us rely, like, that football team was like our family. You know, like, we'd go ride bikes together after, or we'd try to do our homework together. Like, we became like a community. And like, if you have a coaching staff that embodies that, dude, if you can do that off the field, what are you going to have on the field? Right. It's scary. It's like, scary. You can have some great things on the field if you can create a good culture off the field. Yeah. So I'm sorry that happened. Dude, you're and I know this episode like focuses a lot on your football thing, but when we were talking, I'm like, dude, how many lessons can you pull from everything you've been through to set you up for today? Right. And like, what do you do today? So now currently I work for a medical device sales company as an orthopedic, total joint, and trauma rep. So essentially what my job is now is I work with surgeons and hospitals that I try and get surgeons to use our products. So specifically, I'm in knee, hip, and shoulder replacements. And then I do trauma as well. So the trauma side of it, I'm dealing with gunshot wounds, car accidents. My company creates the products, the instruments, and the implants to fix bones. Primarily bones is what we focus on. Now we have sports med side, like your knee. That's why, you know, I was checking in on you. I don't specialize in sports med, but we have affiliations, and stuff. Absolutely. So that's what I do now. How have the lessons you learned with your football career, like how does that translate into what you're doing today?
Well, I think number one, the detailedness that I have to have on a day-to-day basis. So I'm in charge of, I get from the surgeons, I get their schedule for the week. I get it usually a month or so in advance. I have to schedule the cases in our system. I have to order all the correct implants and instruments for those surgeries. So for one knee surgery, there's 5 components that go in. There's 4 components that go in for a knee surgery. But there's probably 50 sizes if you compare all the different components. So you never know what you're going to get when you walk into a surgery.
It's like a box of chocolate.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to get. Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny.
But
sorry,
so,
my brain.
No, you're good. I'm right there with you. But so basically, the detailedness of staying on top of it. Every day I have to check emails and make adjustments to the schedules. On top of what we schedule out for months, the trauma can come at any time. Like, I was fortunate that we were able to sit down and do this today because I am on call this weekend. So we could be sitting here in the middle of a conversation. I have a surgeon call me like, hey, this
That'd be badass. That's the one with Griff. He's got to go on surgery. That'd be a first.
But yeah, so like things can pop up just like that. So Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day, I'm on call. They could call me at 1 a.m. I have to go in for whatever it is. Every 3 weekends, I'm split up with my team who takes the weekend shifts. If anything comes in, you got to go in. Like I'll go in tomorrow for one that was originally going to be today, but it's going to be a real bad surgery. So we had to order a bunch of specific stuff in, like I think over 70 implants we have to have in for tomorrow to fix whatever's going on. But yeah, the detailedness, I think the being able to have the time management, like that schedule of knowing, like from football, going back to football for a second, I got lift at 6 a.m. I got an hour after lift to get taped, get my gear on for practice, and then go to meetings at 8. As well, I have to be able to make myself a plate of food from upstairs because we would always have our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We would have what was it called? I forget what we called it. It was like our meal plan that we would have at the facility. So we would just grab it, take it into meetings or whatnot. Meetings were from 8 to 9. From 9:30 to 12, we had practice. I have class at 1. We get done at 12. I got to shower, get this tape off, get whatever treatment I need real quick, get to class. Class 1 to 3, got to get in another meal. Another class starts at 5 to 6:30, 5 to 7, whatever it was, you go to class. And then freshman and sophomore year, you're required to go to not only study hall, but tutoring as well. So then tutoring is fit into that schedule somewhere. Sometimes it's at 1, depending on what your classes are like. Sometimes it's 8 at night, depending on what your classes are. And every Sunday, you had 2-hour study hall for freshmen. You could get out of that if after your freshman year you have over a 3.0. So that was my goal. I was like, number one, my parents were always on top of me about academics. It was always, you're there to get a degree, football's the bonus. So very quickly I learned, all right, I'm going to time manage, I'm going to get this work done so that Sunday when I go in for the 2-3 hour study hall, I can show my advisors an hour and a half in, look, everything's done. I'm mapped out for this week. Here's what I have. Here's how I studied for it. If you were above a 3.0, sometimes they'd let you go. But again, majority of the time, freshman year, you'd sit there. So after that, I think that helped me kind of get ready for this, being the whole rule of if you're 15 minutes early, you're right on time. If you're 5 minutes early, you're late. I mean, if my surgeries start at 7, I'm there at 5:45 because I have to set up all the instruments. I have to get all my implants. I have to call the office if I'm missing anything. And the hard part is I have to be real with the surgeons. So there's times where, the office might mess up and not give me something. I have to go, hey, Dr. Ish, just want to let you know we do not have this here today. If we get into a situation where you need it, then I have to be prepared to tell him how we can get out of that situation if we don't have the implants there in time. So I basically have to tell him, look, alter this cut, do this, and it'll work out just fine. And again, I'm having these conversations with surgeons on a very detailed level.
You're the head coach.
I'm essentially, I don't want to say I'm the head coach. I'm more like, like the coordinator.
Okay, you're the offensive coordinator.
Yes.
You're putting all the pieces together, and then you're trusting them to with that information to excel.
Now, a lot in my job, I'm not allowed to touch anything because I'm not sterile.
Yeah.
But everything is sterile.
Neither am I.
So,
Dude, why does my brain do that?
I love it. I love it. That's why we're friends. That's why we're friends.
Okay, you're not sterile. I'm not sterile. It's been established.
But so typically for a knee, a surgeon is the one doing all the cuts. He normally has a student in there with him, and he has another helper that are hands-on with the patient. Then there's another person who's a scrub technician in the back who is in charge of handing him everything. A lot of times the knees, I don't want to say they're easy, but they're simple because it's truly a surgery by number, like a paint by number. You can't do step 2 before you've done step 1. The instruments will not allow you to do that. So I'm back here telling him, hey, grab this, give him this. All right, in a minute from now, he's going to need this. So set this up right after that. Like, I'm knowing these, I'll show you on my phone after, but I have these surgeons' techniques from start to finish mapped out and memorized because a lot of times I'm out at Forbes in Monroeville, and the techs are very, very good out there, and they work with the same surgeons primarily all the time, unless someone was to call out. So these techs are knowing, they've worked with the surgeons enough, it's memory by repetition for them. They know what they're going to need. So at that point, if I'm with an experienced tech, I like to say I'm a glorified box opener because all I'm doing is making sure nothing goes wrong, and I'm opening up the implants when he's ready to put them in. If it's someone who is not experienced with them, I'm telling them 2 steps ahead what he's going to need, because the one surgeon I'm with, I mean, he doesn't need replacement, and I think on average we're doing like 34, 35 minutes around there. I mean, it is.
Dude, that blows my mind.
Tempo. It is quick. So it's a lot of, hey, grab this, hand him this, set this to this. Okay, you're good.
Meanwhile, I'm laying in the bed like,
oh yeah. There's a lot of snores. There's a lot of snores.
It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, when they hit me with that happy juice, bro, like I was freaking out in the beginning. In my mind, I'm like, dude, like, what am I gonna drink? Like, bro, they hit me.
And
they're rolling me. I'm like, yo, what's up? And then I'm getting rolled out.
Yep.
With an apple juice.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, it's so crazy.
Insane.
Like, and I was telling my daughter, she's like, how was it? I'm like, close your eyes. And she's looking at me. I always fuck with her. Yeah. I'm like, close your eyes. She's like, why? I'm like, just close your eyes.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm like, now open them. She opens them. Like, that's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Yeah. So you're in there, you're coordinating. Yep. That's cool. It's interesting.
With the knees, it's step by step what you're doing. So it's not as hard. When it comes to the trauma side, a lot of times I don't know what situation I'm walking into until the patient's already asleep. I see the x-ray on the board. Now the surgeon obviously say, can you get me A, B, and C for this? We might need this. So all of that stuff is more so working with a team. And the surgeon is asking me my opinion a lot of times on if something is placed right, how can he adjust this? What else do I have that can use to give this a little more support? So it's more of a team atmosphere. And that's where I think that not only football, but specifically playing center and offensive line overly prepared me for that, because I'm able to communicate on a calm level. I'm able to sit back when shit hits the fan and think, okay, what do I have here that can get him out of this jam? And if I'm able to get the surgeon out of the jam, that's when the trust really starts building. Because there's been multiple times. I was going to say,
it's a lot of trust involved because you're trusting him. Like, he knows the human body. Right. He knows what he's doing, how it's going to affect this patient.
Right.
He doesn't necessarily know the tools and process.
Right.
But like you do. So now you're putting these two things together for one
outcome.
Yep. Dude, that's great. And it's the same with like a quarterback understands the line.
Yep.
It's like, I know what you need to do. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't know the intricate details that you guys do. And then you guys, and everyone knows the quarterback's role, right? But like, you don't know the intricate details.
Right.
But when the ball is hiked, everyone's role and position comes together for what's called a play.
Everybody does your job. You have to do your job in order for the play to work.
But when you're looking at it on TV, it's one cohesive thing happening.
Yep.
But in reality, everyone is doing a specific role and job that's, leading to a touchdown or a game winning, winning the game.
Absolutely.
How is the adversities you faced and the different, the switching administrations and stuff, like how facing all that, how has that helped you thrive in like new environments? Because you went to school, you didn't go to school for this. Like how did you get into this field? So
funny enough, my last year at Temple, when I was trying to finish up my undergrad, like a lot of programs, you're required to do an internship in order for you to fulfill your requirements, like to finish that program. So my undergrad, I had to do an internship. Family friend of mine had a small distribution company, a distribution company for medical device sales. I was like, look, thinking nothing of it, I need an internship. I know you guys have a lot of business out in Philly and are based out in Philly. It's like, can I just see what you guys do an internship for you? So it was a lot of, scanning implants, like in our inventory, organizing stuff, running stuff from hospital to hospital, doing a lot of the grunt work. And then, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then probably 3 weeks into my internship, they took me in to go see a knee replacement. And I was like, holy shit, this is all. I was like, this is what you guys do? I'm like,
I'd probably say, I'd be like, what?
I was like, I'm in there and like, I'm just like, this is what you guys get to do every day. Like, you get to watch this stuff. I'm like, this is sweet. So fast forward, leave Temple, finish up school at Western Carolina, stayed in contact with, again, family friend, but stayed in contact with the guys that I met out in Philly because the family friend's back here running the stuff here in Pittsburgh. So I had met the guys in Philly, talked to them, created a good relationship with them. I mean, it got to a point in my internship where myself, the co-owner of the company, and one of the biggest surgeons, every Friday, he'd text me with a list like, hey, go out to King of Prussia, check the inventory, take this here, tea time at Philly Country Club at 2 p.m. every Friday. And that's what we would do. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in.
My kind of business.
I was like, I'm in.
My kind of business. I don't golf, though, so I'd be like,
we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
We'll
get there. Because I go to these outings and people look at me like I'm they don't take me serious.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I try to flip the golf cart, but I can be serious.
Drinks will do that to you.
No, that's sober. I'm just, like I remember I told you that thing. Like I like to enjoy life.
Yeah.
So I don't take the golf cart serious. I probably should. We have a really good relationship with the golf course. So when I'm on the course, they have a specific cart.
Right.
Because they're like, yeah, if he trashes it, this is the one we want to trash.
Yeah.
So we have a good relationship. But I don't know. I can't golf, so I just make people laugh.
Yeah, fair enough.
Funny story about golfing. I was doing an internship in Erie with this logistics company, and he's like everyone like kind of knew me as like the funny dude, and like I could talk to people and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, we got this big contract coming up. Like, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk over golf. Like, I need you there to close the contract. Bro, I'm an intern. 2, I don't know anything about business because I'm still in college. 3, you sure you want me to close it? It was like, dude, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I'm like, you sure you want me to do this? He's like, bro, I need you there. I'm like, I don't golf.
Right.
He's like, it doesn't matter. Okay, we end up golfing. I don't touch a club, bro. Like, and another thing, we're not even talking about the deal.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm making these dudes a lot. They're like old as dirt, bro.
You know what you are in that situation? You're the vibes guy.
So now I know. So dude, I'm making them laugh and shit. Like, dude, we're having probably one of the best times I had. Dude.
Yeah.
And like the owner of this company is sitting there like looking at me and talking me up. He's like, oh, this guy. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, like I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'm a fucking I technically don't even work for you.
Right.
But like we're having a good time. We're at the last hole. We're going to grab drinks. We're talking or whatever, and like at the end, he's like, "All right, man. Like, mind you, we haven't talked anything about this deal." So he's like shaking him. He's like, "Oh, dude, Ish, is it, man? Nice such a fucking pleasure to meet you, man." I'm like, "Dude, same, bro." Like, and we're saying goodbye or whatever. He's like, "Oh, by the way," and he looks at the. He's like, "Can you send that contract over? We're gonna sign."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Let's go.
Dude, so I look at him, I was like, I was so worried. Like,
Yeah.
every time I tried to like bring something up,
Yeah.
like we would pivot, and I never knew when to bring it up. He's like, no, dude, he's like, you fucking killed it.
It's funny how natural stuff like that can happen.
Dude, yeah, like
without even trying or even thinking that you're accomplishing anything.
That's why I need to get into golfing, dude. Most business deals are done on a golf course.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to sit in a meeting room, it's like too formal or whatever.
Right.
Like, me, I will do business with people I trust, people I like. Like, even if it costs a little more.
Yeah.
Like, if I have the budget, I would rather go with someone I trust and like. And how am I going to figure that out in a formal setting when I know you're performing for me?
Well, not only that, but what I love about, and this is my thought on why a lot of it happens on the course, or why a lot of those deals happen on the course, you get to see people when adversity hits, because there's a lot of adversity that hits when you play
get a bad
golf.
hit or something. Fuck!
Oh,
Is that how you deal with it?
Yeah.
That's how I deal with it.
No,
Like,
look, I'm right there with you. I just keep it a little more hush.
I just go,
Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, you're an idiot.
I just laugh.
Yeah.
Bro, I hit it and it's ping this way,
Yep.
and I'm like, we got any more golf balls? They're like, bro.
But I do think that that's a big reason why a lot of these deals like naturally can occur on the golf course, because you're able to see people, number one, in a more relaxed setting where you're supposed to be enjoying yourself, but you're also able to see when shit hits the fan, how are you going to react to it? Or how are you going to bounce back from it? Like, I'll be as pissed as I want to be on the course, but as soon as I stand over that ball, like, and I'm a big golfer, I love to golf. As soon as I stand over that ball, whether I hit it 200 yards sideways or I hit it dead straight, last shot didn't matter. I'm over there, it's like, okay, how can we fix this? Get in the OR. Shit hits the fan. How can I fix this? It's all about just, like, maintaining yourself when things start to go sideways, and you have to figure out, it's like, all right, am I going to continue to bitch about what previously happened, or am I going to move forward and figure out how can I make this outcome better?
Improvise, adapt, and
Exactly.
overcome.
Yep.
It's about being resilient,
Yep.
being adaptable, and maintaining that positive mindset.
Yep.
To digest or diagnose what's going on.
Right.
Oh, that makes sense, because like if you're going into business with someone, like, you want to know,
Right.
hey,
What's this
wherever
guy
this
needing to do?
goes, like,
Yeah.
I need to know you're about that life.
Yep.
You know, I don't want someone who's gonna be like, fuck, and then
Yeah.
their hands off, you know? So that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. I was young, so I had no
Absolutely.
idea what it meant.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you want me to golf and talk?
Yep.
Like, and like from day one, bro, I've always been like that. I'm not the best versed. Is that, you know what I mean? Like, I can vibe with people and stuff,
Yeah.
but like, I don't say the most appropriate things.
Right.
Like, I'm the guy in the room. Your friend's like, bro, like,
Yeah.
chill. And then this dude's like, no, dude, that's what, like, dude's fucking funny as
Yeah.
hell. And I'm just like, I don't want to rub someone the wrong
Right.
way or something.
Right.
So I'm not the most versed. That's why, like, I don't fucking podcast. I just talk shit on a mic, and hey, it is what it is. Like, this fucking episode's been dope.
I loved it. It's been fun.
What advice would you give someone who went through your situation? Like, you say you wouldn't change anything.
No.
But what advice would you give someone who is going through it, having gone through it yourself?
Right. I would say, take advantage of every opportunity, and kind of like we talked about a little bit, if you need to reevaluate yourself, reevaluate, because that's what I wish I would have done. And I wish more than anything that I would have listened to the people around me who were telling me, hey, you might need to check yourself a little bit. I had no problem admitting at the time, I had an ego. Again, like I said multiple times, Division I, I'm a Division I football player. I was this coming out of high school. Like, my shit don't stink. Like, I'm him. But
I'm him.
But very quickly I learned you're not him, and very quickly I learned that, you need to put yourself in check when it's needed. When it comes to a work standpoint, that would be my advice for anyone. It doesn't matter if it's you're going to play golf, if you have a scholarship for football, for basketball, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're going to the next level to play something, don't be afraid to put yourself in check when needed.
Or not even play. If you're going to the next level to do something.
To do something, absolutely.
Like, having the ability to check yourself and reevaluate is important.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of things I didn't do as a young adult as well.
I'm right there with
You know, that's very important. How
Yeah.
important is it to surround yourself by that community or that support that facilitates that?
Oh, it's huge. It is huge. And that's where I think that I have made the changes to do now. Or excuse me, I've made the changes that have helped me progress to where I am now. Like, it doesn't matter how well I know our implants or how well I know all the equipment I have. I know all the techniques. I know what to tell them. I walk into that room and I'm still the most uneducated in that room on what is going on. I'm still, as funny as it's going to sound, I'm still the dumbest person in that room. But they're trusting me. So for me to sit back and think, yeah, I know everything, I'd be naive. There's many times where something goes on in a surgery. After the surgery, I'll grab the doctor. Hey, can you just explain to me why you did that? What was your rationale? Like, what did you see? And like, try and learn. Like, I feel like I would be an idiot to not take advantage of every opportunity I can to learn more from these guys who have went through 5, 6, 7 years of school at times to do what they're doing now and perfecting their craft. Because learning from them and having that, being able to check yourself and realize that you don't know everything and you are not the expert in the room right now. Being able to cope with that and go, okay, how can I use this to my advantage is the biggest thing, I think.
It's a very invaluable resource, like very valuable resource.
Yes.
And you're in these rooms with these people already. Mm-hmm. Why not pick their brain, man?
Exactly.
If you are the smartest person in the room,
Yep.
you need a bigger room.
Yeah.
You need a different room.
Yep.
Because and some people are good with being comfortable, but like there's so much to life.
Right.
And if you're not trying to explore it, like what are you doing?
Right.
You're in this profession. Who are you to not pick their brain?
Exactly.
Because the next situation you can probably use that. Mm-hmm. You know, like
the amount of things that even from me messing up, like I said to you, there's been multiple times where I've had to go to a surgeon and say, look, I apologize. This was my mistake. And I would say 9 out of 10 times, like, no, you're good. And they'll say, no, it was something I did, or I could do this better, blah, blah, blah. Just yesterday, you know, the surgeon and I, there's music playing, because they play music in the room just to kind of keep the flow going. But him and
people in there.
What was, I forget what we were listening to. We were listening to some old stuff.
Just
I get to play my music on Wednesdays. That's my day to play music. That's great.
What do you play?
But, dude, we can't talk about that.
No,
we can't talk about that. I know. I'm a big
trap shit, bro.
I wouldn't say trap. I'm Big X the Plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big X the Plug guy.
Sounds like a surgery song.
It is. Yeah. Well, it's funny because the one day the surgeon, and like this is the other thing. So even if you're not involved in conversations, I try and listen to everything I can because you never know what you're going to pick up. So the one day the surgeon was talking to the resident who's the student in the room. I was like, yeah, I was reading an article about how, up-tempo music can actually increase the surgery time and brain function and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, noted. Tomorrow, come in.
EDM.
I'm playing, you know what I was playing? Damn Big Booty Mix.
Bro,
two friends.
Yeah, that's up-tempo.
But he's sitting there tapping his foot. I think we did the case in like 28 minutes. Had a perfect outcome. He was as happy as could be. I said something to him about it after the fact.
No, dude, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I said, I mean,
play some saxophone in the background.
Oh, there we go. Some smooth
Kenny
jazz.
G, bro. That'll be a 60-minute surgery.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, I'm just gonna take a break.
But I mean, you walk into situations where like there's been multiple cases where I've walked in thinking it's gonna be an hour surgery, and we're in there for 4 or 5 hours because shit can just hit the fan like that.
Well, and that's where the ability to improvise and adapt comes.
Yep. But when it comes to, you had asked me about advice. My advice to anyone moving out into the world of trying to figure out their profession or what they want to do, figure out what you're passionate about, figure out what you enjoy, and do that. Because to this day, I have yet to feel like I've had to go to work. Even the days where I'm at the hospital from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m, I love what I do. It's something that I never would have pictured myself doing. But once I got my foot in the door, I ran with it. And I don't foresee myself doing anything aside from this for, as long as I work. Now, I have goals as to where I want to move up into this industry. Like, I don't always want to be in the OR. 10, 15 years down the road, my plan is to trying to work my way up into management or even get to the point where, so I work for a company called Zimmer Biomet. I work for a distributor of them. So it's not corporate, it's a branch of them. My goal at some point would be move down to North Carolina, convince Zimmer to allow me to start up my own distributor down there. And then at that point, I have a bunch of teams working with me, because I don't like to say working for me. My goal would be to have a bunch of teams working with me to try and grow business that way.
That's not a crazy goal either.
I think it's very obtainable.
Very obtainable.
But it's only obtainable if I'm able to put myself in check when needed. I'm able to ask questions that might be uncomfortable to ask, and I'm able to take advantage of any opportunity that presents itself.
Spoken like a true gentleman. Dude.
Gentleman and a scholar.
Yeah. Dude, he's not just beauty, he's brains.
I wouldn't say the beauty lightly.
Veto. No. No, bro, I appreciate you for jumping on, man. This
Absolutely.
has been a good one.
I enjoyed it. I really
when
did.
we first talked about this, I'm like, yeah, dude, there's a lot but like this went a whole different way too. And
Yeah.
a lot of stuff you can pull from what you experienced in college, from how you dealt with the injuries and the setbacks and how it pushed you forward to, now you find, and I think it's so, like, one thing I love is when a guest comes on here and they're fired the fuck up about what they do. Like, and you can tell the difference between someone who is doing what they have to do and someone who's doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
The way that, they carry themselves, the way they talk about it, the way, like, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
It makes me, it pushes me, it empowers me, and like when I'm editing these and I'm having, like, I edit these so much more efficiently when it's someone who has the fucking passion and drive, and you can pull something from everyone, but I think it's huge to find your passion, and it's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
And then run with it.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but when you get into that field, things just align. Things just click, because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So the universe is gonna accommodate that. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I appreciate you for jumping on.
That was awesome.
This is the one.
I had a blast with it.
Griff, and we out.
We are out.
Later.